Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Devil Running Talk Show. This is your host, Briston Rains, and today we are with Chris Majcher, who recently ran, what's that race called again? The Javelina Jundred,
Javelina
right?
Jundred, bro.
Yeah, put
Don't
on
forget
by
my
our
accomplishment,
Vipa.
bro. Big deal.
Yeah, it's a super awesome race. But before we get into that, and we also got some history too, which we'll go over. Before we get into that, though, we do have some sponsors, and these sponsors are sponsoring the first ever 5K I'm putting on in Gainesville, Texas, called the Cook County Patriot 5K. We have VitaFlow and Regeared. VitaFlow, they do IV hydration. It's good for recovery and everything like that. So if you're in the Gainesville or Denton, Texas area, definitely go check them out and let them know that you went there because you heard about them on this podcast. And then for Regear, they're doing our race medals. So they're sponsoring those. So make sure if you guys want to put on your own event or anything like that, you use them. They're super cost efficient. They're wooden metals, so they're environmentally friendly. But yeah, awesome people, guys. And for our race coming up December 12th, if you want to sign up, it's on Ultra Sign Up. You're probably like, why is the 5K on Ultra Sign Up? Well, it's because all our future races are going to be on there. We don't want to have our participants using a bunch of different websites. We just want to stick to one. So if you guys want to sign up, definitely can. I think we already got like 30 people signed up, which I'm stoked on. 30 people for my first ever race, which it's not a crazy amount, but it's something. I'm super excited about that. But enough about sponsors and the company. Chris, how you doing?
Good, man. That's crazy, bro. You're official now. Ultra sign up, 30 entrants. That's solid,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm
I'm happy
super.
for you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, super official. Super excited about all that. So Chris and we go back to, man, 2018. That's a long time for me. Yeah, 2018. I met him at a trail marathon. I was 16 at the time. I met him at a brutal trail marathon. That was actually 1 year ago today. It popped up on my Snapchat memory. That was 1 year ago
Hey,
today,
let's
which is
go.
crazy because I met this guy 2 years ago. Actually, it was 2 years ago, not 1 year ago. 2 years ago today, and here we are in the talk show talking. So it's really awesome. And yeah, you want to tell him about the first time you stumbled upon me?
Our
18 miles into the
anniversary, bro.
marathon.
Yeah, big day, dude. Like you said, crazy trail marathon. I think it was kind of funny. I'm just kind of cruising along, listening to my music, vibing out a little bit, and then this clown runs up on me and he's like dying and stuff. He's like, oh man, he's like, oh, I just threw up. He's like, I've just been having a day. I'm like, damn, bro, like just take it easy, bro. Just go with the flow. Like we're out here to have fun, like kind of enjoy the scenery and whatnot. And then just got to talking, got to bullshitting. So
Yeah.
that was a cool race, bro. Love being outside. So it was good to meet you.
Yeah, I
Glad that
got to
we're here
run with.
now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got to run with Chris for like an hour or two or something, and he dusted me at the end, which is totally okay. But yeah, that's how we met though. Was at that trail marathon. It was absolutely brutal. Like rained a whole week before or something, and it was super muddy, like mud up to your knees. There wasn't a lot of running. It was a lot of power hiking. But yeah, and the thorns there were just ridiculous too. Legs are bleeding. But so he's from Arizona, but at the time he was in Texas. He's now back in Arizona, but he might go back to Texas. So the only reason he's on this podcast is because I met him in Texas, and he might go back to Texas. But he did run a crazy race. So you want to tell us about the like how you trained for the race and everything like that? Because it's a 100-mile race, and those aren't easy to train for. So tell us about your training for that.
Yeah, so I think people kind of have like a misconception of like right when I tell them like okay, like I ran 100 miles, like they automatically think that I'm like David Goggins, right? Like
Yeah,
they think that like I'm the type of guy to be like, oh, like I'm gonna run on broken legs, like there's just like no excuses, like type thing. But like I think kind of like what they fail to realize, and I think it's crazy to me that you ran your first marathon at 16, but people that are like my age, so I'm 24, they're starting to get into the sport is like they have a hard time comprehending. It took me 5.5 years to go from running a marathon to running 100 miles. Like that's a long time. So like when I tell people that, I'm like, all right, look, bro, like start with what I did, and then talk to me when you're 30. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
then we'll see like where you're at. Like I don't think that they understand like how much time like went into that. Like it wasn't like, obviously it's a lot of it's mental, but like when you say that it's mental, like even if you're listening to somebody like David Goggins, they're saying you got to callous your mind. Like you got to build that up. You can't just show up and then just expect for it all to be mental. Like you have to continue to be putting in work there. For me, like I just do it all because it's fun. Like I don't have like a goal in mind of like, okay, like I need to accomplish this for like some specific reason or this and that. Like it just flows and it ends up just getting to that point. So like the first time I ever did a marathon, didn't think that I was going to do 50K. After I did a 50K, didn't think I was going to do 50 mile. After I did 50 mile, didn't think I was going to do 100. It just stars aligned. I feel good. I feel ready. I got, my uncle who got me into it. He's been a great motivation. He'll do the races with me. And then I'm not trying to stress about, I need to do this in this time or like do this certain race with like this much gain or something like that. Like it's just all go with the flow, like for me. So everybody has a different, kind of experience with running. I know some people, I know a couple people that run like 1 mile a day, but they've done it every day for like 2 years. And then, there's guys like my uncle that, have done 20 plus 100-mile races. There's somebody at the one that I just did, it was his 155th, so it's just everybody kind of has like a different plan. Everybody has their different niche. And then mine is just kind of like no stress. I'm in this for the long haul. I'm gonna be doing this for 40, 50 plus more years, wherever it takes me at the time, then that's like where I'm going. So
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of how I prepare, is not necessarily having anything super specific in mind, but then just like, kind of seeing where it takes me. So
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, they see these 100-mile races on YouTube and stuff, and they're like, okay, I want to do 100 miles, and they think they can do it in a couple months or 6 months, which you could, I think, but I don't know how well that would be. But it's definitely something you have to prepare for over a span of lots of years, and I don't think a lot of people understand that it's not just something you could just wake up and immediately start training for in a short period of time. So, yeah, for sure, I definitely agree with that. And like I plan on doing my first 50K this December. I did that marathon 2 years ago when I was like 16, and I wanted to do it this December, but I got into the McDowell Frenzy 50K, and our Vipa's putting that one on. They approved it to go in, but it's the week before my race, and I want to be there the week before my race to get like supplies and marketing and stuff like that done. So unfortunately, I declined it, but yeah, it's definitely something you have to stretch out, especially if you're young, like 18. I probably shouldn't be running ultras because I'm still growing and everything like that. But you could definitely, do it if you think you could. You talked a lot about, what was your nutrition like for the 100 mile? Because for me, like for any long distance, nutrition's like the hardest thing for me. So what was your nutrition like, and how'd you find what worked for you, and what advice would you give to people to find their nutrition?
yeah, so I think in terms of like nutrition leading up to the race, like personally, like I don't do anything specific in terms of like eating healthy. Like, bro, the week before I did the race, like I ate In and Out 3 times. Like I was there 3 days of the 7 days like before the race. Like I'm a sucker for hamburgers. Like, there's nothing specific about that diet. Like whatever's just going to give me the most calories is what I'm going to go for. And then during the race, it's kind of the same thing. Like I said before, like it's taken my body and my stomach a lot of years of running to be able to like eat solid food. Like when I did like my first marathon, like there was no way that I could have eaten food because like my stomach would have just, it would have not been happy. But then now, since I've just been doing this for years and years and years, like basically like my body, like when I'm running, like it's just operating at like a normal capacity at this point. Like it's just like, this is just like second nature. So like this race, during the race, I was able to eat a lot of solid food, which I think was like a game changer. So I would say probably advice wise is if you can try to eat a little bit of food, like I had chicken noodle soup all race. Like the way that I think of it is like, okay, if I can eat this when I have the flu, then I should probably like, if it's gonna, if my stomach's upset when I have the flu or something, I'm gonna eat something light like this soup, and that's probably gonna work at the race. So just kind of consistently train with that. Maybe I would have a little bit of that before marathon, maybe have a little bit of that at mile 13. I felt good with that all through training. Tried that at 50 miles, and then it was pretty seamless at 100. So
Yeah, for sure.
trying to incorporate some of the solid food, obviously, or shouldn't say obviously, but I have Tailwind as well. Highly recommend the Tailwind. Again, that's just sugar, electrolytes. I kind of lean into that more when it's hotter outside, and then at nighttime, I was just kind of going for the solid food. But yeah, tons of different flavors. One of the guys that I was running with there, I'd never thought of this before. I felt like an idiot. But if you think that the mix is too strong, just mixing a little bit of the flavored and then buying the unflavored, so like doing half flavored, half unflavored. But I mean, it really depends on the person. But I do think that solid food, if you can try to get used to it, is necessary. Tailwind has been a godsend for me throughout, running career. So I would recommend checking
Yeah.
those both out.
Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about Tailwind. Tailwind is like, I think that's what the guy used that ran the Moab 240 that I talked to like an episode or two ago. I think that's what he used, but a lot of people use Tailwind, and I hear a lot of good things about that. I haven't ever tried it, but yeah, I definitely, a lot of people are suggesting it, so I guess I would suggest using Tailwind as well. But as for the race, the Javelina 100, so what were you like super nervous the night before? Going to run it, or were you just pretty chill about it?
I was pretty chill. I think before the first ever marathon that I did, like I was pretty nervous. Um, just because I think that like at that point, like I was kind of overextending myself a little bit, like going from like 10 miles to like 18 to like 26. Like I think I did that pretty quick. I was kind of like doubting myself, like doubting like kind of the training and everything. And that was a pretty tough race, the first one that I ever did. But then, since I've been doing it for, I've been running marathons for like 6 years now, everything is just more relaxed. Like if I didn't feel ready for this race, I wouldn't have signed up for it. I knew that I felt ready for it. So the day before, I knew I felt ready for it because I've felt ready for it for months. The
Yeah,
first one that I did in January, basically the same thing. Wasn't really nervous before. Slept through the night basically for both those races. Maybe woke up like one time. But yeah, I mean, having some good confidence, not necessarily going in with a goal of, trying to place or like do this, do that. Just, I'm out there to have fun. I don't want to drop, but like you said, in terms of that trail marathon that we were doing, a lot of power walking, like that's definitely the case with 100. I mean, if I feel like at least for Javelina, if you run the first 60 at a pretty decent pace, you can hike, power walk the last like 40 and still make the 30 hour cutoff. So I really wasn't, worst case, I didn't think that I was going to not finish.
yeah.
So
What'd your time end up being?
25:20.
Oh
So
wow,
definitely, yeah.
yeah,
So I had a plan of 28 and a half, which was run the first 60 and then hike the last 40. And then I just, felt good for that last 40. So I ended up running, most of it. And the last few miles too, 12, 13, 11-minute miles, like I felt good towards the end from 96 to 100. Um, so yeah.
that's all. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, how many miles a week were you doing going to this race? Because you said you felt good. Like, if I was going into that, and I was doing 70 miles a week before, but if I went and did a 100-mile race, I'd be dead probably mile 30. So, like, how were your long runs, and how many miles a week were you doing?
So miles a week. So I had kind of a unique situation in 2020. So I worked for Hilton and I got furloughed for 3 months. So during that 3 months, literally all I did was like literally live out of my car, sleep in my Honda Accord, and drive like all around the United States and just ran.
That's the life, man.
Yeah, bro,
That's
like
the life. That's so cool.
lifestyle as fuck. Yeah, it was crazy. But so basically I was doing like 2 marathons a week, and then outside of that, just a couple like light hikes. So I mean, basically it was kind of the same thing for me. If I didn't necessarily look at how to like go run 100 miles, like I didn't look at any kind of training programs or anything like that. Like I just knew that like I could run 2 marathons a week and not be sore. So like I personally I don't run when I'm sore. Like I never run when I'm sore. So like if I run a marathon and then I take 3 days off, I'm not sore at all when I run like the next one. So like
Hmm.
I basically had increased my baseline to be able to run a marathon. Like it was like absolutely nothing. Like there's no hesitation like at all. And then I probably did, I'm trying to think this year. So I did Coldwater 100 in January. I did a 50 mile in Monterey, 50 mile in San Francisco, 50 mile Sedona or 40 mile Sedona, and then 50-mile Grand Canyon. So maybe every 6 to 8 weeks do a 50 mile and then 2 marathons a week. So, I
Hmm.
mean, but it totally depends. Some people do something totally different. Like I did right when I got furloughed, I did a 10-mile run every day for 5 days. So 50 miles in 5 days. And my body was shot, destroyed, like absolutely like could not like walk. Like I feel better after doing this 100 than I did after running 10 miles a day for like 5 days in a row
Hmm.
because like I just need those recovery days. I only need like four, but like I do not run when I'm sore. And like that's basically like how I've come to realize that is I just, that's the way that my body operates. So listen to your body. And that's kind of been the goal in terms of like my weekly mileage leading up to the race.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool and it's interesting. And like I say, like in all these podcasts, and if you're running your first ultra or you already have, or you plan on running 100-mile races, all these guys running these 100-mile races, they all say basically the same thing. They don't run crazy mileages for their weeks. They do a couple runs, a couple long runs, and sometimes some of them do strength training. I don't know if you did or not. Did you? Did you do any
I don't
strength
do,
training?
bro.
You don't?
I never have stepped in like I've rock climbed before, but bro, never once have I been in a gym. Like never do push-ups, bro. Like I've literally done. I couldn't tell you the last time I did that. Like I just to me like if it's not super fun, bro, like I'm not gonna do it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like go necessarily change like my diet. Like I'm not gonna go to the gym and like do this like it can because like it just doesn't interest me. So like I like refuse to burn out. Like I am not gonna burn out of this sport. Like I see so many people like go from like, oh man, like I want to get into running and like I see him doing it like 4 days a week and I'm like, hey man, like you do you, but like what I'm saying, like seeing from the outside is like you are killing yourself right now and you are gonna burn out. And then lo and behold, like 8 weeks later, they burn out. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
if you were sore and you didn't want to go out and it was cold out and it was 5 a.m. and your alarm went off, like you should have hit snooze and like just gone in the evening, or you should have just, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy of it.
Yeah, and to go along with that, like I agree with you as far as new runners, but I think if it's someone that's been sticking with it for quite a while, I don't think it's too big of a problem if they're doing however many runs they want to do. Because if they stuck with it for like more than 6 months or a year, they're pretty disciplined. They're sticking with it. So, but yeah, new runners,
100%.
yeah, that's a definitely big problem for new runners. They just do too much too early, run too many miles, or and just burn themselves out and change too much too quickly. And they just need to slowly work themselves into it and not be like on YouTube watching 8 hours of running videos on the weekends, like every day, and getting super into it and then just burn out. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. So as far as the race for the Javelina 100, anything crazy happened at the race? Did you anything super memorable go on for the race itself?
I mean, honestly, like nothing too crazy. Like, like I hear, I mean, maybe like a little bit like, delirious or like, but nothing like, oh, bro, like I saw God or like, like this or that. Like, it's just like, I mean, to me, it's just, I like feeling good the whole time. I don't like overextending myself. I don't like stressing myself out. Um, I've been running marathons, like I said, for like 6 years. Felt really prepared. I'm listening to my body. Like I'm not pushing too hard if I don't need to. Like I'm not pushing through like dehydration. Like I'm eating where I can. Like I've hydrated enough. I've fueled up enough. And then just, really kind of enjoying the ride. Like usually I listen to music for most of the race, but this one I didn't. And I think honestly that was a big help. I think that, I mean, this is definitely an outlier. Like I would say if I'm all my other races, I've listened to music the whole time, but this one I was just kind of trying to be one, I was running with somebody else that like I had just met and I was talking to him. So it's pretty easy to hold a conversation the whole time. And then I think it kind of got just like too like stimulating and stressful in terms of just being at such like a high mileage. Like I love listening to music if I'm running a marathon. Like I'm blasting some crazy like party music or something, like getting into it, getting the cardio going.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one just trying to keep myself more relaxed, not overextend myself, not stress myself out, not be thinking about anything.
Yeah. Were there like
Yeah.
any like crazy climbs or mountain climbs or anything like that on the course?
So I kind of chose this one. So it's a 20-mile loop. The first 10 miles is slightly uphill, and then the last 10 miles is slightly downhill. So a lot of power walking like for the first 10 miles of the loop, and then trying to make up some good time on like the back half. But I mean, gorgeous views, gorgeous sunrise, gorgeous sunset.
Yeah.
Just, really grateful to be outside and seeing the good weather, the good views.
Who's the
I think
who,
Zach Bitter's wife like got second or third place or something in the
oh
100
really?
mile. So he's the world record holder for 100-mile on
Oh
the
yeah.
track. I believe it's like a 6:48 mile for 100 miles, like absolutely ignorant.
That's
So,
yeah, that's wild.
yeah,
That's
so
insane.
he's
Did he
local at
run it?
Phoenix, so he was there, which was crazy because like they announced that like when she came through, and I was like, oh, Zach Bitter's over there. Like this is like,
That's
I was like,
wild.
this is a legit event. Like we made it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be near Zach Bitter. I noticed this might just be me, but when it comes to the trail running community, if it's someone that's like a popular celebrity within the trail running community that everybody knows. I've only met a handful in my life, but whenever I meet them, they're just like normal people to me. Like I don't feel like I get like fan crazy. I don't know if that's what happens to you, but that's for sure what happens to me. What about you? Do you get like kind of like, oh, that's Zach Bitter, or do you like, oh, it's Zach Bitter?
I think it's kind of a combination of both. So like I was having this conversation with somebody that I was running with in terms of like you have like your like Zach Bitter and like Jim Walmsley, like especially like Jim Walmsley is like, okay, like his performance at Western States 100 like got him the #1 spot in ultra running magazines. You know, he was the #1 ranked ultra runner of the year. So like that's like a super calculated like event in terms of like he has like a really good plan like going into the race. Like he has pacers that are like extremely athletic. Like he has like, you know, he's trying to break like that's a pretty that's a solidified distance as a lot of people have done like 100 miles. So I think you have like kind of like your super athletes in terms of like um they're really good at this distance. A lot of people are comfortable at this distance, but it's still an ultra distance. So like that's like Jim Walmsley on the other side. And then there's another guy that I follow on Instagram, Michael McKnight. He just did the Colorado Trail fastest known time. It was like a 480-mile run. He slept like 5 hours of it, and you know it's like 5 or 6 days or whatever. And
Wow.
I was watching his Instagram story, and his pacer was like, he's like, guys, like we're out here in Denver, like you know we're like 200-300 miles or something into this race. He's like if you're in the area and you want to come pace, if you want to come pace for like 25-30 miles, like just shoot us a DM and we'd like love to have you. You know what I'm saying? So like I think that that's such like a cool like in
Yeah.
terms of like not being necessarily starstruck because like this guy isn't this you know Michael McKnight isn't like as known as Jim Walmsley, but like just that guy is completely totally pushing the limits and it feels like way more. The volunteers and stuff are just like partying it up and everything. So like
That's so cool, man.
so
That's
like
so
there's
cool.
yeah, there's kind of that atmosphere. Like they did the best that they could. I think they did an excellent job of it. Like for sure felt you know, for sure kind of felt that vibe. Like it was cool to run through the start finish, and there's like music blasting and stuff. Like I took a Snapchat. I'm like, oh yeah, bro, 80 miles in, like we're still at the concert, bro. Like the music's still going. We're like 24 hours, or whatever it was, 18 hours in, and the music's still popping and people are still out. So yeah, it was a cool. I like that's why I like a lot of the race day vibes. I think 2020 has been interesting because like a lot of while I was on furlough and everything, like all these marathons and stuff that I did, like I said, 2 a week, like none of those are actual like organized events. Like that's just me driving up to a location. I find something cool on all trails. I, park the whip, sleep in it, wake up, and then hit the run. So like I've come to love like that side of it of like I'm like exploring exactly like where I like what I want to see. Like I'm gonna go ahead and plan this course out. I'm gonna park my car here. Like, okay, like I went out a few miles this way. Like, like I'm gonna go back actually, and then like find a different routes. Like I love doing that, and then I love the organization of Javelina where there's all the people there. The atmosphere is good, and I feel like the organized races are best for trying out that new distance of people there. People there offering support, like everybody talking about like, oh man, like you got it, like, oh hey, good job. Like anytime you see anybody, like, oh good job, bro, like you got it, like good job, good work. Kind of push you a little bit further with the organized ones, and then some of the lesser distances for fun, just trying to explore a little bit more of like what I want to see and going for more of like the scenery type thing.
Yeah, for sure. And for all the people out there listening, All Trails, it's an app on your phone or a website, but it's literally like the best app ever. You can find any and every trail on that thing. And basically, it has the elevation gain, the map on it. You can download it on your phone. But yeah, you guys definitely check out All Trails if you haven't already. It brings up literally every trail in probably the United States. So yeah, I highly suggest that. But yeah, so for the race at the beginning, did they have all y'all like social distance out, or how did that work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so typically, I think that maybe don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that they have like almost like 2,000 people or something like last year. Like it was a massive event, and basically everybody starts on Saturday. So it being like a like a 1 day start, and then now they did like 4 days. So they did like a Thursday night. I don't know what else, but like yeah, like a Thursday night, like a Friday night, Saturday morning. So like they did a bunch of different starts, and then they also did like wave starts. So like I was the 7 a.m. Saturday start, but then I was the 7:05 wave. So basically it was very distanced. Basically everybody wore masks the whole time. Like I definitely felt safe in terms of COVID wise. Like all the volunteers there had like gloves on and stuff. Like they would fill our waters and everything. Touch points pretty significantly reduced, but like it definitely still felt like a race.
Yeah.
It wasn't like too COVID. Like I felt safe from COVID. Like I feel like they did a good job of that while also providing that atmosphere. So
Yeah.
pressure's on, bro. You gotta keep up for your races coming up, bro.
Yeah. I've been trying to like learn about what everybody else is doing, and yeah, I think I feel bad for the race director of that race, because I feel like something like that, planning all the wave starts, I feel like that's just super in depth and complicated. Like I feel like that was a ton of work on the race director's part, and the team and everything like that. But I mean, it's cool to hear that
people at this point, like if there's something on Ultra Sign Up, bro, they're like, I'll pay anything. Like I've been inside all these months, like I don't care what the start is, this and that. Like dude, starting at like Thursday at like 7 p.m. to run 100 miles sounds like brutal, because you got to run through Thursday night, and then if you're planning on finishing within the cutoff time, you're going to be overnight for 12 hours there, and then another 6 hours at night the next night. So you got to go through like 2 nights. Yet people are, people are on the wait list. Like they're excited for it. So
yeah, I was on the wait list. I was excited to go. I was like, oh heck yeah, my first ultra. And then it took them forever. I put myself on the wait list like 3 months ago or something like that to do the race in Arizona, and they didn't accept it till today, or send out the waitlist exception or decline till today. And obviously I declined it, but yeah, like it took a long time for them to actually like send that out. And I know a lot of people were gonna fill up on those races, everything like that. Yeah, the numbers have been huge for races popping up, especially now. And yeah,
that's why I've been trying to, even like I said at the race, like I lost my mask at that one spot, but carrying extra ones in the bag, like I want to make sure that everybody there is being as responsible as possible, so that these can continue, because I don't I don't want it to be like, oh yeah, like we're gonna have these races and everybody's gonna be safe and then nobody does it and then they cancel it. So I think everybody did a good job of really doing their part, having the mask on, trying to be distanced as much as possible. So I think it was a good setup.
Yeah, yeah, that's super cool, man. Yeah, it was really cool to hear about your race experience and how you talked about training for it and everything like that. Um, I think that pretty much wraps up the talk show. You got anything else left? Anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, just kind of in summary, like if you're new or even if you're doing marathons, like, and you're too stressed or like, just pull it back. Like if you need to take some time off, like if you don't feel comfortable like doing like the next race, like I've always sided on just the conservative side of like, I'm doing this because it's fun. Like I don't have any other necessarily goal in mind. Like wherever it takes me, it takes me. Like I'm out here to meet cool people, do a wholesome activity, get my friends involved, have a good time, see some good views. So if like my distance is going to cap eventually. Like, is it going to be 100? Is it going to be 200? Like, does anybody do anything past that? Like, I'm
300.
just, I'm just going. I'm going for the flow. That might happen. That might not. It's just, wherever it takes me. So don't lose track of the good feeling, in terms of trying to smash a goal or something like that, because you should be having fun for the majority of it.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely when you listen to your body because I was doing like 70 miles a week for like man 3 or 4 months, and towards that last month, my body was feeling it, my legs are feeling it, and I ended up actually getting injured for like a month, and I got out for a month or two because I didn't listen to my body. So yeah, coming from me and Chris, definitely listen to your body, especially when you're training and everything like that. But yeah, definitely agree with you on that one, Chris. But yeah, guys, that was Chris Majcher. Do you want to plug your Instagram?
I mean, yeah, sure. Just throw it up or whatever on the link. But Topher
Yeah,
Major, so TopherMajcher. Check it out. Got some running pics. The Strava is actually where Strava is where it goes down. So
yeah.
that's
I'll leave his Strava and his Instagram in the description, everything like that. So you guys can definitely go check that out, and I'll tag it on all the Instagram posts. Uh, but yeah, guys, that was Chris Major talking about the Javelina 100 and some other cool stuff. This talk show takes place every Saturday, and I'm not sure who we're having on next Saturday yet, but it's all going to be on Instagram. So make sure you guys stay tuned, follow us on Instagram. We do have a Facebook. I don't post as much on there, but Instagram's where it's at right now. So make sure you guys follow Texas Double Running on Facebook. Website's www.texasdoublerunning.com. We're going to be putting on the hardest marathon in Texas, but it's a trail marathon in July, late July of Texas. So get ready for that, guys. That's going to be super exciting. I'm super excited to put that one on. But yeah, guys, I'll see you guys next Saturday. And make sure you guys leave a rating on the podcast. I've been trying to get ratings. I only have one on it right now. But we get like way more views than that. So yeah, make sure you guys leave a rating on the podcast so it can go up there on the the running podcast list. But yeah, that was the end of it. And I'll see you guys next week.